Our good morning. It is 6 a.m. in Munich right now. Master Dennis, thank you so much for making the time and wake up and go through this recording with me. How are you
It's my
today?
pleasure.
Great. Okay, so as we were saying, that lots of folks in the US who have been working for 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years, are having lots of changes and upheavals, and many of us are finding it very difficult. For example, myself, my company, I mean, today I interviewed for my own job.
Mm.
Yeah, the first of the two panel interviews, multiple people. And then I guess if I make it past round one, there will be a round two of the job interview, of
Okay.
the panel interviews. And so everybody in the department. And they are doing this at the Molina Infrastructure Group. They are doing this at the Northrop Grumman company, at the aerospace company. So it's a common thing that's going on in the US.
Mm.
And so let's go ahead and get started to go through the material that you see on the screen. The art of execution, I think I've talked with you about it over the last number of years. It is an organizational transformation framework any individual can use, whether the person has any power officially or not. So this is applying the art of execution framework. I have a playlist of 14 videos on the framework. And the topic for today is parting the sea, like Moses parted the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So that's like a miracle. So we are talking about doing miracles here. Parting the work Quagmire sea. Things are kind of really screwy. How do you part that and not get drowned in it? For all of the out of execution videos, we are always talking about personal, interpersonal, group, and organizational and industry variations. Variations meaning some people are more experienced, some people like to fight, some people don't know how to handle conflict, some people don't have the experience in doing the computer work or the business work or the design. So all of these variations create a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And then we end up with the jobs we hate. And I was with a friend of mine, and he goes, I'm just fed up. I'm ready to just quit. Well, but he's got young kids. Then he asked me if my company was hiring, and I said, well, I am interviewing for my own job, so I'm not sure if you want to
Mm.
come here at this point. So the point being, yes, we can part the sea. It is doable. It's very difficult. However, I don't believe it is more difficult than the situations we face. So miracles await you. I honestly believe that. I have experienced it to some extent, but I know some teachers, practitioners, they have really accomplished some great miracles by using some of these principles here. Do you have any questions so far, Meister?
No, not so far, Master.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on. Zeitgeist is a German word.
Yes.
The definition of the word is what's going on, the prevailing culture of an era, of a time. Alvin Toffler here, he wrote a book called The Third Wave in 1980, and he says there will be the deepest social upheaval and creative restructuring of all time. Just in my lifetime, just with the cell phone, the smartphone, things have changed so drastically. And that change is going to escalate. People who play video games are making millions of dollars nowadays. The players themselves, they play in
Yeah.
stadiums, and people come and watch them. They sell tickets, so it's like it's unimaginable just a few years ago. So this is a case study. Luckily, I don't think you are facing this now, and I hope you will never face it. But in the next 30, 40 years of your life, things may change that you may come to this point. And the principles that we are talking about here are applicable to the home, to the house, to family relations, to everything and everybody. So it's not just limited to work. We are talking about the case study here, just about work in this case. This insane crap is driving me mad. Companies such as Kodak, Blockbuster, Toys R Us, they have already closed, finished. And
Yeah.
many stores, they are suffering because of the sales from the internet, the competition. If you just going back to the smartphone, the camera industry, the fax industry, the video recorder industry, all of these industries are severely impacted by the phone alone. And the changes
Yeah.
go on, and I'm sure you are aware of that. So everybody is going through change, and they are faced with reduced income, and then they have to find ways to cut costs by laying off people, by doing site consolidation. They move the workers into the same city, and as a result of that, the experience of people like you and me today, we don't own companies yet, that when we work for companies which are suffering from these restructuring and the reduced income, we experience some crazy situations. For example, my friend, he is a programmer, and he would have to move his code from his PC to a testing PC, to a test system. They call it promotion, deployment, elevation, whatever. So basically, they are moving the code from the development computer system to the quality assurance or a test environment. It used to take 20 minutes to make that move. Now it takes over 2 weeks because of the firewall and the proxy and the internet hacking, um, encryption, all the information security stuff they have to go through. So from a professional computer scientist perspective, it is a maddening experience when you could do it in 20 minutes before, but now you would take 2 weeks. It's just too much. And so on. There are many, many other problems. Lots of people have been let go. They are all working remotely. They are all working from home. They lost all of their teams. So there's a lot of pain going on. So he says to me, well, he wants to quit. He wants to do this and that. I said, look, if you leave this job, which you've been here for 20 years, it's pretty stable, even though it's not perfect. If you go out and become a contractor, I'm sure you can find work. But when you are a contractor, they can let you go in 5 minutes, in an hour. And
Yeah.
you are like a dog, like a whore. They can do whatever they want. They can do all kinds of things. I was a contractor in a number of companies on a number of for a number of years. So, anyways, but the perception of what's going on, it is blamed on the management. They are amateurs. What are they doing? They don't understand processes. They are making organizational structures. So my friend was a group manager. He had lots of people reporting to him. Now he has the same responsibility, but nobody reporting to him. It's just
Mm.
really crazy. They are coming with all kinds of crazy stuff, and he just going mad, really, really mad and angry and frustrated. So what's really going on, right? Superficially, it looks like the people who are running the show don't have the process skills, and they don't understand the principle of software development. But is that really true? Maybe there are different divisions in the company, and if you work in a division that's old and not making as much money, then they will not pay too much attention to your group. It's no longer the cash cow. So the point being, we really don't understand the circumstances and the difficulties and the constraints the management and the leadership teams are facing. Just when we experience it, we just get very, very upset. So for the worker to not able to respond to the change properly, so we are responding to the changes poorly. And as far as the management is concerned, in the US, the average lifespan of a CEO and the CIO is about 4 years, 5 years. Then they change. So they come in, they do a few reorgs, they move boxes on an org chart, and then time is up, they leave. They get paid, they leave.
Mm.
So it's called the Dr. Deming refers to that as one of the 5 deadly diseases of corporate America. So what's the point? The point is don't get mad. Don't become such a not a victim. It's just really reactive and frustrated. So my one recommendation is to get connector skills. We will talk about that. It's an application of the art of execution framework and executive skills. So what do executive skills include? It includes many things, but some of the things is that you know if you have to fire 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, you wouldn't go home and cry and lose your sleep after a while.
Yeah.
Not that you don't care, just that it's part of your job. You become more emotionally resilient towards it. I'm trying to put nice words around it. You don't take things so hard. I mean, you have a bigger picture. You understand the root causes and you understand the interdependencies and the big picture, the industry, the company, the group, the team, the person, and then you can handle it. You can manage the situation rather than being crushed by it. So here, when we move to the principles allow you to operate objectively. Like the gravity, right? It always works, whether you are aware of it or not, whether you agree with it or not, whether you understand it or not, it is going to work. So when you go to principles, then you will be able to navigate and protect yourself and make the best for yourself. And you are not trapped in your quote unquote narrow view. Myopia is like nearsightedness. Or it used to take me 20 minutes. Now it takes 2 weeks. And so many other things have changed. And so it allows you to look beyond it, to look past what used to be, how you were able to thrive and to excel in a quote unquote perfect environment. And now you're just being destroyed. So we want to go past that. Dr. Deming, the father of quality TQM, total quality management, until today, the highest award for quality in Japan is called the Deming Award. After World War II, he flew to Japan, 1945. He taught the Japanese quality. So he said, it is not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory. Many people fall to the wayside. Many people are no longer able to participate in the marketplace because it changed so much and so quickly. And you have seen some of that in your own life.
Mm-hmm.
So the overview for the next 40 minutes is that how do we craft a job and the life that we love? How do we create? The idea for a perfect job, for a job that you love, is that you take a job that's pretty good and then you customize it, you adapt it to yourself. For example, I'm not trying to say I'm smart. For example, I have started to feel this way about a number of years ago. I find principles to be very fascinating and how they work and how they don't work. So when I go to work in a dysfunctional place, I'm really curious. I'm really excited to try to understand what's causing all the dysfunction and the disconnect, and what can I do, or what can be done to resolve those things, and what's the root cause for those dysfunctions. So I at one point I even said I'm willing to work for free. Even if they didn't pay me, I would do it because it's really interesting. So I'm not lying to myself. The point is, you can, through changes in your approach, that you may go to work in a very dysfunctional place, but you can be extremely happy because you know exactly what you're doing and how you are doing it, and you are able to make a difference in that environment. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So change. Let's come to handling change. It is what it is. my friends were having a big fight, and one of them says, how could you justify for having done this for 10, 15 years? And I happened to be there, and then they asked me, and I said, you don't need any justification. Why? Because it is what it is. It is what it is. It already happened. You don't have to justify it. You love it or you hate it. You hate it. It's already happened. And there's a principle here. Every system, every family, every person, every couple, every marriage is perfectly aligned to produce the results it is getting right now. Because if I wasn't the way if I'm not the way I am, Auntie Adora is not the way he is, if Ima is not the way she is, you're not the way you are, you wouldn't have the family that you have. What you have a child, you have a marriage. We went to Calabria and all of that. All of that happened. If you were not the way you are, we would not have been there. So whatever happens. Not so much is good or bad. Whatever happens is a perfect reflection of all the causes and conditions that made it happen.
Yeah.
So to resist reality, to reject reality, to reject what's actually going on at this moment. Of course, if something is wrong, you need to correct it. But to get very emotionally upset and to become very negative, you are actually taking the poison, not you. Then the person, myself, would be taking the poison and eat it and poison myself with the environment and with what's going on. And that's the wrong thing to do. Logically, we all understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So when we reject what's going on at work, in the society, with the people, that means we are no longer connected. That means we have become obsolete. I can no longer function in this new environment, or I'm only functioning at 50% capacity. And I get angry, I hateful, I wrinkle my face, and I don't know, I overeat and whatever the responses are. And then you end up with, my neck is being tight for the last number of months. My left shoulder, left back is been hurting for 2, 3 years. And my left shoulder blade is been clicking because the muscle gotten so tight, it would rub against my shoulder blade, the bone, for the last 10, 15 years. So all this tension I have held in my body because I was experiencing certain things, whether, yes, I was mentally resisting them, but I didn't understand some of these things, which I'm understanding now. So I'm gradually, I'm reversing it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about changing. So the key point with the next 40 minutes is to, how do you remake yourself? How do we remake ourselves to thrive in change? Even though it is optional, when my friend said, oh, it's too difficult, I don't want to learn anything, I'm done. I'm not interested to learn anything new. So maybe that is said in frustration, but really that's not the way out, especially when you have young kids,
Yeah.
So get connected skills. The idea is to release and purge the reactions and the ego. Okay, we have some subsequent slides which will talk about releasing and purging the reactions and how to let the ego go. This is similar to the previous slide. I guess I copied it over. I didn't go through each one in detail. The principles will guide you, guide me, guide us in and out of the battles of life and death. That's guaranteed. I have seen it. I've experienced it. And you can say, well, how come I'm not extremely successful? I have my own path. So that's a long story. So here, the author of the book, The Third Wave, he said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Mm-hmm.
That's it's easy to say, but the big deal is, once you have learned something, oh, this is the right way to be, this is the proper way to be a husband, to be a wife, to be a child, to be a grandfather. This is the good way to be a good computer programmer. This is a good way to work for this bank. Once you learn it, after you learn something, it becomes unconscious. After you learn how to drive, you no longer have to think which gear, when to step on the gas, when to step on the brake. Pretty much you can just do it while you are talking on the phone. You don't even have to think about it. So these are unconscious, conditioned, automatic reflexes and responses. Once you learn it, it becomes that. And then when the situation changes so much, what you have learned is no longer functional in the new environment, then the body goes crazy, right? Because the body it wants to do something, but it cannot do it anymore. Then the mind gets surprised, and then there's anger coming out, there's rejection coming out, there's resentment, there's victimization. That's a normal way for a human being to respond. When what you have learned to be right is not being done, you go through all kinds of negative emotions and body physical reactions, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to unlearn that. How do you unlearn anything? You unlearn anything by looking at new paradigms. The paradigm is, it is what it is. Not because Dennis, the senior manager, the CIO, the COO, is mean or he's lazy or he's incompetent. It is because he's focused on building a new division in Ohio, and he's letting this group of people in San Diego just kind of do whatever they need to do. The energy and the time is not spent there. So we need to learn some new paradigms. Oftentimes we can never know the truth, why the company is doing this, why that boss did that. We can never find the truth. So for us to benefit ourselves the most, we should find some principles which are true principles, like the gravity. They give you predictable, repeatable results. And so you can rely on them, you can count on them. Then you unlearn the old habits and you relearn the new principles, which will allow you to be more functional in the environment. In the meantime, it is a very painful process. It is very difficult. It is very painful, and you must not lose heart. Why? Because your own fate, the fate of your children, the fate of your family, the legacy of the generations of the Millers, pretty much gonna hinge on you at some point. And same with me, right? My parents are 90 years old. My daughter is 19, so pretty much it's hinging on me at this point. If I fly, if I crash, if I go crazy, if I get fired and cannot find a job, it's gonna make a big difference at this point, right?
Yeah, true.
So the process of unlearning is very painful, but at least we understand what's going on. A quick review on the art of execution framework. Leader's Edge Skills gives you the big picture: organizational structure, organizational systems, performance appraisal system, evaluation system, training system, communication system, decision-making systems. Like for example, at my work, they are going through hiring performance appraisal assessment of the employees who've been there for the last so many years. Everybody in the department is going through that. And one reason I think they are doing that way is that they are avoiding lawsuits when they let people go. You cannot say it's not fair. It's a discrimination, race discrimination. So they need to do whatever they need to do. Leaders' Edge Skills gives you the big picture. You look at the big picture to see what's going on in the industry, in the company. Why this is happening? Why the grandchildren not listening to the father? What's causing it? Because the chain of command is broken, for example, right? People are getting conflicting signals from the superiors. Production processes, communication processes. So that's the big picture. Process ninja skills. There are some, and my friend said, well, the management is expecting him to do what he was able to do before, even though things are so much more inefficient, like what used to take 20 minutes to move the code to the testing environment. It's now taking 2 weeks. So one thing that you can do is you can acquire the skills to articulate the gap. Don't get angry. Just say, okay, fine. I'd love to do it in 2 days. These are the 15 steps we have to go through. We need the architect, we need the information officer, we need the quality assurance manager, the team lead, and the offshore team to do the following 15 steps. And that's why it's taking 2 weeks. And I really want to do it in 2 hours or 20 minutes, but this is what's going on. So in some cases, they don't want to listen to you. They are too busy. They really don't care. And even if you prepared it, they wouldn't want to say it. If they say it, there's nothing they want to do anyways. So they're just talking. So you need to understand the big picture once again and make the best move for yourself. Most importantly, keep yourself happy, skillful, because if this job doesn't work out, you're gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah. Master, just 1 second. I have to blow my nose. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, go ahead. I will keep on going.
All right.
Okay, you can watch it afterwards. So duality skills, you can go on mute. Duality skills is where you balance your mind and you let the body do the screaming, right? When we unlearn certain things, when we are not able to be as efficient, as productive as we were before, we feel a lot of pain in the body, in the mind. The neck gets tight, the back gets tight, the shoulder can begin to cramp and tighten up. To release the tension, to have the adrenaline coming to the body, you can. I've been taking the body pump class, and the body pump class, they make you work so hard. They make you do the lift the weights, very light weights, but they make you do so much of it, it hurts. And when I'm doing it on some days, I have so much pressure from what's going on at work. Like 3-4 months ago, I was fired from 4 projects, right? So I'm a big boy, but still it was a very painful experience. And actually you can just go on mute, Master Dennis, then you can do whatever you want to do and come back and unmute yourself when you are ready to do so. So this point here is, I let all the stress out of my body. When I'm doing those weights, when I'm doing the squats with the weights on my shoulders, I feel like screaming. I feel like just yelling. I don't actually yell, but my body is in so much pain. I think by experiencing the pain, the stress is released, and I feel relief afterwards. I've been going I try to take those classes 4 times, 5 times a week, and I'm still not balanced. Okay, just imagine if you're not exercising what your body is storing up. So here, you can scream in the gym. You can scream. My manager from Citigroup, when his wife was passing away with cancer, he used to roll up the windows and scream in the car on the way to work to just release his stress. People scream into pillows, whatever, go somewhere, do something. But just remember, I'm not preaching, and it's not about religion. If you go for drinking, it doesn't really help. It numbs the feeling for the time being, but the pain is still in the body. You have to release it. Yoga is like one of the best ways to release such pain. Not according to me, but according to the author of the book. It's a Dutch guy. The name of the book is The Body Keeps the Score. You can lie, you can smile, the body knows the truth. So pulverize the ego, because I'm getting all angry or upset. Who is getting angry? Who is getting upset? It's my ego. It's what I think the way things should be. I know better than the management. I know better than the company CEOs. I know better than the industry. I know better than the universe. I know better than the whole world that what's happening shouldn't be happening. But it is happening for perfectly precise reasons, and that's why we have what we have. But for me to deny that and go against it, it's same as banging my head on the wall. Same idea. Pulverize means to make into powder. The ego, when you look at a brick can be used to construct a wall, but then it doesn't fit into smaller places. But a pebble can fit into smaller places, but sand can go into any spot. And if you mix sand with cement, then you can form it into different shape. And when pure space is what allows somebody to live inside the room, because inside the house there is space. Space is what allows you to drink your beer from the mug because of the space inside the mug. So space is extremely useful. Space and air, they fit into all spaces. They can contain all things, and they can fit into all things. So what's the point? When the ego is released, you are wrong. How come you don't do it this way? How come you don't treat your family that way? You are stupid. You are, you don't care. You are negligent. You are and whatever. That's because our ego is saying we know better than people, and we know how they should live their life. We know how the management should be doing this. We know how the CEO should be doing that. Because then that's why we are so angry about it. We are so upset. That's the ego talking, right?
Yeah.
So we have to talk about the acceptance skills. Acceptance skills will be covered on a future slide. The fourth pillar of the art of execution framework is cohesive skills. Cohesive skills basically says don't trigger the Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You escalate extremely judiciously. If you want to get something, go and get it. Don't pick a fight. Don't create a reaction. What's the point? And I think you know how to do that very well. For many years, you said to me, you are the quiet one, still water runs deep, and this and that. And and I was talking to you all these years. I was never 100% sure if you understood what I was saying or whatever. But now I can see you are such a great, successful professional. I think you are everything that you said you were. Now I know. Because it is.
Some time to prove it.
No, because it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to explain it. We don't have to do anything. You just look at it. Well, it's happened already. So there you have it. So we can use reason to de-escalate and create the reactions you want. Connected skills. Connected skills is any company, Google, Apple, IBM, Citigroup, anywhere, end-to-end operations and systems understanding. Somebody who understands how your company runs, all the systems, how they connect to produce the result that your company is getting paid for. And understanding the operations, people who are actually dealing with the customer, signing contracts. The people who understand those things, those people are called connectors. Connector skills is what's most important, and that's what gets you the most money in any company. I think I spoke with you and Ima about this briefly in the past. I'm not sure if I made any sense.
Yeah.
So all of these are applications of the art of execution framework. Quickly, for a few minutes, existential principles, emotional intelligence, boundary skills, ego skills, they fall here. And they are very foundational and very important. If a person's anger and ego are bigger than his or her abilities, then the person is trapped. Cannot grow, cannot ask, cannot learn. People are afraid to talk to you because you will get angry and scream and yell because you think you are too good. You got nowhere to go. Not you, I'm just saying. So these are I have seen some people, my coworkers, and I'm sure at some point in my life I was the same way. Boundary skills, I talked about all of these. And the boundary skill is basically take out the bad, keeping the good. And we can go past this. Shakespeare is not saying that tomorrow if I broke my hand, it is a good thing. He's not saying that, breaking my hand is not a bad thing. The way I understand it, the Buddha said the same thing. My hand broke. Whether I say it's good or whether I say it's bad, it's broken. There's no reason to label it. Yes, indeed, it is not good. But for me to even think it's not good, it doesn't add any value to me. And I know it's very human, it's normal, it's instinctive, but that's not the point. The point is we are here to learn, to train ourselves, to improve ourselves. In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully and perfectly equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. And we can no longer function in the environment.
Yeah.
And I'm repeating this back and forth. Musashi, he fought 60 plus duels starting at age 13 in Japan as samurai. So he has 60 plus wins. And he left 21 principles called Dokodo, D-O-K-K-O-D-O. I think I've sent it to you in the past.
Yeah.
The first thing he said is accept everything exactly the way it is. How interesting that somebody who has gone through what he has gone through came up with the same conclusion, and he put that to be number one. Accept what is and respond productively as your responsibility. Responsibility is responsibility. Responsibility, the ability to respond. So that means we are independent from is. What does that mean? My happiness doesn't depend on your behavior. My happiness doesn't depend on my company. My happiness doesn't depend on the weather. My happiness doesn't depend on my project being successful or not. My happiness doesn't depend on if they fire me tomorrow or throw me out of my job. Of course, it does depend on it, but it is up to me to train myself, to train my mind, to focus my mind. Tony, our friend, you remember him, right? Tony Espo?
Yeah.
He went to China. He spent, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 some dollars or more than that. He opened up a pizza place, I think in Shanghai train station. He hired Chinese people to work for him, selling pizza and hot dogs, something like that, pizza at least. And he lost all of it. He came back smiling. Nothing bothers him. And I look at him, it's like, wow, it's quite just amazing. And he goes, life is a 4-letter word. Next. And so yes, he's very independent from many things, and I was always amazed to see him like, okay, that didn't bother him too much, seems like. So a gut wrenching, heart rending, angry reaction is not the best chosen response to any situation. Anybody who is trained, that's why the Navy SEAL, for them to graduate, if you look into YouTube, they try to drown the Navy SEALs before they became SEALs in the swimming pool by tying their hands in the back, make them tread water in a very deep pool, and the instructors are trying to push them under the water to drown them for like 20-30 minutes. And 1/3 of the people drop out. So those kind of training is to force you to choose to respond calmly to a very horrible extreme situation. And they learn that. And that's why they can go to very difficult places and do incredible things. Acceptance skills. So we talked about the changing times, the crazy world. Then we talked about people are going crazy because of it. Then we talked about you can part the Red Sea. You can create happiness. You can create peace of mind. You can relearn. We can become a learner again today from this moment on. You are already a learner now because you are still very young. You are at the beginning of your career, so to speak. But after 20, 30, 40 years, you'll be in a different place. Acceptance skills. Whenever we talk about these skills, we're not talking about just a skill, we're talking about a habit. In order to have a habit, you got to be aware of the habit. You got to be aware of the paradigms and the principles. Then you have the desire to actually learn it. Then you must have the knowledge to actually know how to do it exactly. And then ability to execute it under stress. I mean, sometimes I get angry, and afterwards I said to myself, why did I try to control what's happening? I should just, next time when this happens, I will accept it. And then I will be happy, and then I will go from there. We talked about Musashi already. We talked about getting the results based on what's going on. The law of sowing and reaping is always at work. If the reaping is delayed or is not quite there, it's because there's some interference. Somebody is stopping the results from coming through. That's a different topic. I made a recording with my nephew Eric on that last month. You never know why, as you and I have already said, we never know why senior management appears to be creating the chaos. I don't think they created intentionally. I don't even think they are so dumb that they don't understand it. As life evolves, things change, right? Some people misbehave. Whenever it's put in quotes, that's like it's our perception. We perceive that they create problems. We perceive that they misbehave. But maybe what they are doing is the best possible scenario by moving people to the same location, and still that saves more money even if it takes you more than 2 weeks or 2 months to move your code, whatever the circumstances are. Meaning, we really don't know. Maybe they saved $10 million by making this move. So this is worth the pain from an organizational perspective. I don't know that. And the more time you spend guessing and being angry about things that you do not control, things that you do not understand, things that you will never find out the truth, you are becoming weaker because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
See daily events as creative work of art. So whenever things happen, somebody comes and yells at me, and I go, yell at me, and I go, wow, that was interesting. Wow, okay. How did that come about? So I have this wide-eyed curiosity. And resentment is a habit. Judgment is a habit. Very difficult to overcome because our mind is so fast. Like I don't, I don't remember, like 2 billion frames per second. The consciousness, the speed of thought is very fast. So it is beneficial for ourselves to create self-helpful reactions. In order for us to do that, we must detach from our needs to control people, to possess people, to judge people, and those are really habits. So that means we need to go through the pain that to unlearn those habits, catch ourselves, and then we continually reinforce a new behavior until it becomes a habit. So it's not easy, but it is doable if you believe that this approach can work. I believe it can work. It has worked for me in some small ways. You can cry over spilled milk, gnashing of teeth, pounding of chest, tearing your hair, but focus on what needs to be done calmly is the best. So be flexible, be open, don't have a rigid controlling mind. That doesn't mean that you are not a perfectionist. Be a perfectionist in what you do. When you have to do something, okay, be perfect. But when you look at somebody else, my older nephew was kind of with his younger brother who is 6 years old, 5 years old. And I said, look, Kai doesn't know it as much. He is younger. He doesn't have as much experience. He doesn't understand as much. So therefore, we should not expect that much from him because he's still learning right now. Be flexible. Yeah. I know you know all of this. No controlling, no possessing, don't try to occupy other people's mind, occupy people's lives. Don't try to manipulate beyond your limit. If you want to do something with yourself, by all means, be perfect. Get up and clean and cook and wash and take a second job and go teach in college. Whatever you want to do, go for it. Don't be attached to the past. Don't be attached to perfection. Don't be attached to what it should be, because when you do that, you get angry and you get emotional reactions and you knock yourself down. No grasping on needs to avoid reactions, emotional reactions. So these are some of the things which are necessary to do. That, oh yeah, I have a need to tell him straight. My manager said this to me, yelled at me, and I have a need to revenge, and I'm gonna go and call him name, call her name. I'm gonna go and do some sabotage. I'm gonna go and badmouth him or her. I need to let go of these needs. Otherwise, I'm gonna spend my time and spend my emotions in bad ways. And they will be like, okay, I wanted to say this to so and so, but I couldn't do it. Now I'm so angry. Or my desire is to do 5 projects, but because of the situation, I couldn't do it. I have to redirect that energy, or I might blow up. You will explode. So you gotta release your energy. Be flexible. Let go of your needs. Create new habits. It's painful to go through the process. It's hard to remember. But you need to do it, and then you will see you will be on a different spot. Change all habits of regrets, remorse. Musashi Miyamoto said, do not regret anything. I mean, just read what he says. This guy went through a lot. Because if you spend your energy and you are there in the battlefield, somebody is trying to cut you into pieces with a razor blade, samurai sword, and you are there regretting something in your subconscious mind, it's going to
Yeah.
interfere with you. Remorse, judgment, or anger. So you are super functional, efficient, effective, alert, sober, and clear. You are in the clear. So that means you are living completely in the now. You are completely present. None of you is like, oh, he's an ashloch and he's a bum and she's a liar. You don't have that in your subconscious mind somewhere, and that's taking energy from you. So when we are complete in the present moment at any point, that means we are completely alive. Then we are tapping into the power of now, according to the book by Eckhart Tolle. This can go on 9:50 now. Oops. You can use principles to form habits of peaceful acceptance initially. So it's a painful process to unlearn some of our judgment, be able to catch ourselves, find the correct paradigms. And then Dr. Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says after 21 days, a new habit is formed. But it's very difficult. There are so many things going on. You really have to repeat one thing, keep on repeating until you get it. But the good news is a skill like the acceptance skills, accept everything as it is, exactly the way just they are. This is a decisive skill. This is the keystone skill because if you get this, if you get it down, empathy and all the other skills fall into place. They are pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult, but it can be done. Some people have done it. I've seen some of them. You remember the U.S. airline that landed on the Hudson River, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He was flying a bunch of seagulls or some birds, geese, Canadian geese, hit the engine. All engines were hit, all went out. He flew gliders for decades training. He knew that he had to keep the wings perfectly level. He had to point the head of the aircraft slightly upwards. He had to fly at the speed just above the stalling speed. And that's how he
Yeah.
was able to land and save everybody's life. He did not spend time fighting about, the geese and God damn it, sons of bitches. I mean, he didn't go through any of that, right?
Right.
He just go, okay, we have a bird strike. And then right before he went into the river, what did he say? He said, brace for impact.
Yeah.
Very calm guy. And after he became a very famous celebrity, he was interviewed on TV, this and that. He took the opportunity to talk about management in his airlines. He goes, senior management and the executives have been using the company as an ATM, automatic teller machine. He said that. He says, I'm using my opportunity of this spotlight to share the difficulties and the plight of the company. If we
Mm-hmm.
don't have money, we don't pay the pilots, good people will not come into this industry. So the guy is fantastic, right? Churchill, go study what he did, how he focused. Much critical work is at hand, like Captain Sully. Proceed immediately. Don't waste any time. People say, don't sit on a rocking chair, rock all day on the porch and go nowhere, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Own yourself, own thyself. True victory is self victory. People say this. True victory is self victory. That means control yourself, train yourself, so you do the right thing for yourself and for your family. And don't do anything against yourself by by I don't know, smashing your head against the wall. It's not very smart. Own and master your own emotions. This is easier said than done, but it can be done.
That's true.
Thank you, sir. Plan, prepare, preventing crisis. A true champion can adapt to anything. So that basically is saying, I mean, everybody knows what it says. Is that I don't need the weather to be good. I don't need my boss to be nice. I don't need the project to go right. I don't need my coworkers to cooperate with me. I don't need my chief operating officer not to yell at me. I don't need my senior director not to throw me off the project. I don't need to depend on them on their behavior, so I can be okay. At least I'm not the victim. I may not like it. I may have a bad reaction. So thank God there's exercise, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about this already. The second keystone, the second decisive skill is empathy skill. Everybody knows empathy, right? I think for the other people, da 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 da. But if you think about it, I know it, but I don't really do it because oh yeah, what did Auntie Adora want? She da 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 da, and I fight with her. If I can instinctively react and say, what are her needs? Why is she saying this? Because first thing I argue about is, well, I need this. I need to go see my father. I need to buy this. I need to take the money and do this and do that. I immediately think about my need and I defend it and I argue about it and I attack the other person who is challenging me. Whereas if I have the empathy skills or even if I have the acceptance skill, one of these two skills, right there it is resolved. Habituate, make it into a habit as an automatic reflex at seeing others' needs. What are her needs? How does she feel? What does she want? But the first thing I think about is what I need, what I want, what's most important to me, what I believe this
Yeah.
is correct, and this is the motherhood, apple pie, blue sky, the Chinese way, the Confucius way, the American way, the proper way, and you are not you are wrong and I'm right. So this is my empathy skill, and I'm looking at this empathy skill. If you practice it day and night on everything you do, so practice acceptance skills for 21 days, 3 weeks, then practice empathy skills for 3 weeks, and then practice situational skills for 3 weeks. So 9 weeks have passed, and keep on repeating it until you get them into your system. Then in 1 year, you have this mastered. I didn't know this, right? At this point in my life, after working for almost 40 years in corporate America, seeing what I'm going through, seeing what my coworkers are going through, I'm coming to certain understanding. So I'm hoping to pass this on to you, my godson, that you may benefit from it, and Ima, and and Kiara, and all of that. That's why I woke you up at 6 a.m. Poor guy. Okay. Know that they have their mental, financial, emotional, social, and spiritual needs. Everybody struggles. Everybody is going through something. But I never see that. I only see what I'm going through, what's important to me. People, and sometimes, I don't know how to express myself. I have something I want to say. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to. Maybe they don't want to listen to me. I don't have the words for it. I have not tried to explain it. So if that's true of me, probably true of other people as well, right?
Right.
They have, and we talked about mirror neurons in the brain that our kids, even before they can speak, they are already learning what's going on by watching people, and their brains are being formed. The neuro linguistic programming, the neuroplasticity of the brain, it's they have it for 10, 20, 30 years. So they have their own needs, they have their own ways. Respect them rather than persecute, tolerate, reject, condemn who they are. Why not respect them for who they are? Because guess what? They are who they are. No human
Yeah.
genesis is in libido. So everything in life begins with lust, right? The man and the woman, that's how it starts. And then there's like, okay, I love my wife, I love my kid, I must have more money so I can support them. I can go on vacation with them, so I can buy a home and send her to college. And then, okay, if I get more power, I have more money. And then I have to fight with other people to get the money and the power. And then when I don't get it, I get angry. So there you have the drama of humanity. So we understand this is how things are. It is expected. So how can in my particular case, I try not to engage in it. I follow my principles, and I'm not supposed to go after money or power, just against all the training that's been given to me. And I'm not trying to say I'm good, don't get me wrong. It's just the path I have chosen.
Yeah.
Know that they have good reason to be as they are. It is what it is. They are who they are. He is who he is. She is who she is. The industry is the way the industry is. The president is the way the president is. That's it. Principles of the unknown and the unknowable. I don't know why she's this way. I may never know. Even if I could know some things, okay, where did she buy the car? I can find out the year and so on. So some things are unknown, some things are unknowable. We never know who painted that car. Maybe it's impossible to find out. So we understand these as basic principles and we begin to apply. So when we begin to get angry, we can say, okay, the precise reflection principle is what we said. If you look at your hair looks fantastic, your beard looks fantastic. The way you look precisely reflects when you last shaved, when you last had a haircut, when you last combed it. It never tells a lie. Everything in creation, yeah, your iPhone, your computer, your car, your daughter, everything reflects how much milk she drank, how much she slept, uh, who is her father, who is her mother, and all of that. There are precise reasons, causes, and conditions to make Kiara who Kiara is, make Jojo who Jojo is. So this is a law. So once we understand the law, similar to the gravity, the precise reflection principle will help us to be more accepting. The spiritual path, okay, is 10 o'clock, wrecks the body and afterwards restores it to health. It destroys the house and to unearth the treasure underneath it. The spiritual path wrecks the body. If you go on this acceptance and empathy kick, you will have to unlearn something that's instinctive, something that's habitual, and you're gonna feel bad. You're gonna feel horrible, but you're not gonna act on it.
Yeah.
And that's what wrecks the body. The body goes crazy. The body wants to drink alcohol. The body wants to have sex. The body wants to go exercise because it feels so much stress. Relax the face. Relax. Don't tighten the spot between your two eyes. Between the eyebrows. Yeah. Musashi Miyamoto said that in his book. Relax the face. The body keeps the score. Bessel van der Kolk, he talks about trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, or people who come back from the war. So you can erase the scores by experiencing the pain of exercise. We talked about this already. Repeated and chronic stressors that frustrates and traumatizes. This is what we need to reprogram ourselves to see it differently, to experience it differently by understanding the big picture, the art of execution, not the processing, the leader's edge skills. Leader's edge skills is the big picture. And then how to handle conflicts, cohesive skills, and duality skills, how to see reality. The last of the three keystone skills, the first was acceptance skills, then is empathy skills. This is situational skills. They're pretty much all the same thing, but I just put them into different words. The outcome, the result are totally different from what you have expected. Do you persecute, reject, tolerate, accept, celebrate, or honor what is? This is from the 7 habits. Habit number 4, think win-win. When you think win-win, you're not going for win-lose. When you persecute somebody and you put them in prison and you attack them, that is win-lose. When you reject somebody, that can be lose-lose, go for a divorce. When you tolerate with somebody, okay, I'm gonna not divorce you, but I'm not gonna talk to you, I'm not gonna be nice to you. This is for win-lose or lose-lose. When you accept somebody, okay, I'm great, you are okay, I accept you. Celebrate is like, hey man, you are fantastic. Gosh, I'd love to be in with you. And to the point where you honor somebody. You honor all creation. People who are very devout, who are so-called religious, some of them, they are very reverent. They respect the Pope. I can say he's fake. I'm not here to talk about religion. He gets off the airplane and he kisses the ground. The person shot him, he goes to prison, he hugs him, he kisses his foot or he kisses his hand. He washes the feet of the inmates, including some men, some women, some Muslim, whatever. He kisses their feet. It's in YouTube. Pope Francis. So you can say he's holy, he's fake, you can say he's a pig, whatever you want to say. But the thing is, the idea is honor. Honor what is. So you can take those interpersonal habits, you can apply it to a situation. Do I persecute the situation? These managers are bad. Do I reject it? I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Okay, I'm gonna put up with it, but I'm not gonna work hard. I tolerate it. Okay, I will just bear with it for my paycheck. But then you are half dead. But if you celebrate what's going on, say, yeah, this is exciting, it's something new. Let me try to understand what's going on. Let me learn and acquire some skills. Let me honor the efforts everybody is putting through to keep the show going. Let's celebrate. It's the same situation. And then if that doesn't work, you can try this for 21 days, number one. And then if you have a hero, I don't know, your great-grandfather, your grandmother, whoever, transfer the hero to the worst situation that you face and respect the situation and the people in that situation as you respect your hero. In the Buddhist teaching, they say, okay, that person is a Buddha. Person has a Buddha nature. How could you disrespect him or her? Jesus, I mean, the Christ spirit is in everybody. How can you disrespect the Christ spirit? Do you have to go? Well, maybe another 10 minutes? Or
Hello.
are you okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
completely fine.
So be holy if it's possible. It's not about religion, just that this is really about keeping yourself happy, keeping your mind clear, living in the now. So you and I don't drag so many baggages and judgment and all that crap where, I'm sorry, it impacts the digestion, impacts the stomach, impacts the neck, impacts the shoulder, impacts everything. That's too much, right? It's a gut-wrenching
Right.
experience. A clear and focused mind lasers all the energy towards the goal. Happy life, happy wife, happy child, happy family, healthy body, enjoy. You know, again, not about religion. You know, Christ, they say Jesus came so we can have life to the full, overflow, and a happy life. Why not have that? The captain is, and the third paradigm that the person can use to change about the work is the captain in the company is empowered to run and sell the ship, right? That they are hired the CEO, the COO, that's their job.
Yeah.
And they decide which processes, if they should move the company to somewhere else and go offshore and whatever they need to do, who should walk the plank. Walk the plank is a term where somebody makes you walk on a piece of wood and make you jump off the boat. It's called walking the plank. They want to fire me tomorrow. That's their prerogative, and I respect that. Because if I don't respect it, it doesn't make any difference. Anyways, I just make myself angry, right? So I might as well respect it. I might as well celebrate it. I might as well honor it. So at least I keep my peace. So my neck doesn't hurt, and my tummy doesn't hurt, and my head doesn't hurt. Today, when I was in the gym, my head was hurting so badly, it was pounding. And I wasn't even doing anything. And on the other hand, if you become the captain, and you will have to, you may have to decide. You will have to decide who you want to lay off and how you want to sell the boat. And no matter how you sell the boat, how you run the company, somebody's going to be against you, right? You know how that goes. So what's the point? The point is, do not resent differences. Celebrate, honor differences, and honor them. Delta is a difference. Identify and focus on the circle of control. Circle of control is who you are, what you can do, what's within your own boundary, what you are responsible for. Don't be responsible for somebody else because you are not responsible for them, unless it's your child, until she's 18. Take action and let the chips fall where they may after doing your best. Do your best, Dr. Coach John Wooden said, do your very best. And then, if you have done your best, what else can you do? If you fail, even though you did your best, you should be proud. Hold your head up high. Why? Because you gave it your very best. You plan, you prepared, you look for principles, you look for paradigms, you trained yourself. And what do? You go back, like Michael Jordan, watch his own video after each game to see the mistakes you have made and keep on reprogramming yourself. So next time you don't make the same mistake. I saw George Foreman in person speaking, and George Foreman said before he fought Ali for the very first time, he had such a horrible fear of Muhammad Ali. So when he first got into the ring, he saw Ali coming towards him and boom, hit George Foreman in the head. And George Foreman said he looked up, Ali was in the other side of the ring, wasn't even near him. He made up the whole thing in his own head. He said this himself. I was there, I watched him. I think my brother David was there with me that time. How often do we tell all kinds of guesses and speculations. Oh, they're gonna lay me off because the two interviewers, they're gonna both grade me badly. Oh, that person hold a grudge against me because I said something about them. And they are already defeating themselves. And I told him, I said, don't do that. If you're gonna make a prophecy, make it a good prophecy for yourself. Why do you destroy your peace of mind? And actually, be honest with you, talking to some of them bothers me too, because I'm not used to some of these thoughts. So it takes me some time to settle down and calm myself as well. So we create our own bumpy road. Our own judgment is what hurts us the most. No matter what happens outside, we can always choose a response to it. The circle of concern, what the company is doing, what the CEO is doing, the economy, what other people think of you, the weather, wars, weapons, the political views of other people. This is what you worry about. It's not your responsibility, not inside your boundaries. This is inside your boundary. You can start a business, you can pick your company, you can travel to Thailand again. Your attitude is fantastic. You actually learn Ye and Lula. I'm so impressed. You go and you think and you say these things, and I go, oh my God, what you buy, what you read, where you live. You wake up at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning after a long week of hard work. Like, okay, thank you, sir. The skills you learn, articles and books that you write and you teach. This is what you do. This is what you can control. So focus all the energy there. Learning, unlearning, relearning, I'll be done in 5 minutes. I'm going to rush through the rest of it. Identify new principles and paradigms for new responses. Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. These are the steps for organizational change. You should study this. You should Google this, because all the companies go through this. Project managers, sometimes they make us into organizational change agent, and we don't even know what the heck they're asking us to do. When I went to Direct TV, I was really a cultural change catalyst, but I didn't know. So I really hit the wall and didn't know why. ADKAR, awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. You can use that for your own self. Find yourself a paradigm. Awareness of you are being, I'm frustrated, I'm being a victim, and I have a desire to learn, to improve that, and I want to know how. I find the paradigm, I find the principle, and then I have the ability to actually execute it under stress. If I make a mistake, which happens all the time, then I keep on going back and do some more some more awareness, some more desire, some more knowledge of how to make it work, and then I improve my ability, and then over time I reinforce it. Like by talking to you about it, I'm also going through it, right?
Yeah.
Also on my side, my speech isn't exactly smooth because I also had a long, hard week, right? I mean, it's 10 p.m. LA time, and so it's also difficult on my part as well. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, I'm not a victim. For personal change management, okay, neural pathways for impossible situations. We don't have time to go through this in details now, but we can talk about it some other time. When you learn some physical situations, one of my teachers, knife fighting teacher, don't be alarmed. I'm not a knife fighter. I don't carry knives. I'm interested in martial arts. His father was the Bolo Brigade in Indonesia or Philippines. I don't remember where now. Bolo is a machete. His father trained him when he was a boy. His father asked him to hold the machete in his hand. His father took a branch from the banana tree and whipped his hand with a banana leaf. Hit it very hard, and his father said to him, if you drop the machete, you are not going home to your wife. You are not going home to your daughter. You are dead. You cannot drop it. Pinned against the wall by 2-3 people, what you do is you slide up and down because they are pushing you against the wall, but you can always go up and down by bending your legs. Then once you go down, then they lose their balance and you get out. When you are outnumbered, people are straddling you, sitting on top of you, 3 against 1. When you are grabbed by the hair, the wrist, and arm by multiple people. What's the point? The point with this is when the person is untrained, when they get into a difficult situation at work, they give up. Oh, okay, I'm just going to quit. My manager didn't say hi to me this morning. It's like, really? How many jobs do you have? Are you leaving already? So when the person goes through this kind of training, just a little bit, you don't have to become a black belt in anything. I've studied Aikido for 20 plus years. I'm a white belt. I never really tested. So it's about getting into your psyche, your mind stream that even though the situation looks impossible, you will be surprised. You will be
Yeah.
surprised. I was given a deadline at 5 o'clock, and then it was 4:59. I'm not coming through. I stayed with it. At 5:02, I went through. Stay calm, keep on working, go past the deadline. It looks impossible, but hey, you can part the Red Sea. You can part the work Quagmire Sea. You can do
Yeah.
miracles. Stay focused on what you need to do. Remove stress triggers with new paradigms aligned with correct, effective, authentic principles. We've given many examples in this. My apologies if my speech wasn't clear. I hope it is not too unpleasant to listen to me, because if some of these things really you think might help you, you can come back and watch it afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Build reason and logical neural pathways through understanding. Begin to create new neural pathways by visualization and practicing until you have a habit. Stop the old conditioned responses and releasing the stress through yoga. That is recommended by the author of The Body Keeps the Score. He actually said that yoga is a good way to do it. So principles, we talk about principle, predictable, repeatable, works anybody, anywhere, anytime, without your understanding. Why principles? Because two things are constant in life. Change, we're talking about change, is a constant, and principles are constant. So to overcome
Yeah.
change, you use principles.
Yeah.
And that's something some of the time. These are all the questions we talked about. What new skills do I need? Why do they change this new structure? How do I ask for help to meet my responsibility? Can I show management a process map and with wait time? That's why it is taking 2 weeks. If it makes any sense, in some cases they know it, they don't want to hear it. And if you actually say too much, you become a troublemaker. You are a problem child. They will get rid of you. So be smart
Yeah.
about it, right? Don't be naive. Viktor Frankl basically says with any stimulus, you can choose your response. So everything we talked about here, all the unlearning, relearning. So this guy learned to people give away their last piece of bread in the concentration camp. You
Mm.
can choose your response. Viktor Frankl, read the book. I read the book decades ago. So it is possible. So Master Daniel, thank you so much for your time. You can control only
Thank you.
yourself. Focus on that. And learning, relearning, iteratively. Keep on repeating, keep on focusing. And if you don't really focus on it, it's very difficult to improve your skills.
Yeah.
Bobby Ito taught me for 20 some years, while I barely know anything, but he taught me every weekend for 23, 4 years. Habituate,
Yeah.
acceptance, empathy, situation. These are the three principles we talked about. Each one of these principles is decisive. If you perfect any one of them, you got the other ones too. It's not easy to do, but it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Art of Execution framework, we have a playlist on YouTube. It will support you to engage you at whichever level you choose to use the principles, because the gravity and such principles supports everybody objectively, right? So this is dedicated to Ali Zhang, to everybody, to the Muellers, to the Wangs, and may your cup, Master Dennis, continues to overflow. May you have perfect peace of mind, good health, good emotion, good family. May you acquire more and more wisdom and power to help your parents, your neighbors, and everybody. Anything you'd like to add?
It was great. Thank you, Master.
Thank you, Master Dennis. I want to turn off the